Welcome to the How Women Write podcast. I'm so excited to have Nadine Maldonado here. We met in person probably about a month ago before we're recording this, and she had recently launched her new book, Lemon Seeds: When Life Squeezes You, Faith Grows You. She's a Tampa Bay realtor, faith-driven leader, mom. She's also the creator of a realtor course called Booked and Busy. And she has a podcast too, the Belief Effect podcast. Love that name.
Thank you.
Multidimensional. She does many things. Nadine, welcome. I'm so happy you're here.
I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy that we crossed paths and it led to this moment.
Yes. When we met, you were selling copies of your book. You had them present, and I was like, oh, I need one. And I'm booking you on the podcast. And you spoke that day. And as soon as you spoke, I was like, we need to talk more. I need to hear about her writing process.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't think I've ever publicly spoke about the writing process. So I guess that's why I'm super excited about today as well.
Yeah, I love taking listeners behind the scenes because all we see as a reader or as an audience is you up on stage holding your book, talking about the stories from it, which is
Mhm.
great. We need that. But I love meeting the person behind the book.
Yes.
And I read your book. Your story is like, I'm making a mind-blowing gesture. You can't see me, listeners, but there was many moments of just wow. So I do want to get to the spark that sparked the idea for the book, but I do want to touch on any early memories you have of reading and writing growing up.
So my earliest memory of writing is the third grade. I had a teacher, her name was Mrs. Robinson, and she was an elderly lady, and we had to write about a day at the White House and how we would get there and all of these things. And I didn't particularly like school, but that assignment just stuck out to me because we had to not just create the illustrations and the writing, but also we had to make the cover and do all of those things. So that has always stuck with me. Even when I was in the process of writing Lemon Seeds and doing all of the creatives and everything, it pulled me back to that third grade version of me. And yeah, so I would say that would be my earliest memory.
Yeah. Did you love reading when you were a kid?
I loved reading well as a kid. As I grew up, teenage years, early 20s, I did not love to read, right? It was really hard for me to find myself to get lost into a book. And once I started reading more self-help books that I felt like had a purpose and a relatability, then that's kind of when I started to pick up book or reading again.
That sounds typical for many of us in teens and early 20s.
Yes.
I love that. In the book, you talk about a gift from your friend Terry. She gave you a journal and some metallic pens. You were more excited for the pens.
Yes.
Tell me about that and what brought you to that point of receiving that gift.
Yeah, at that point in my life, I just lost my daughter due to a car accident and unfortunately had claimed her life. And I was also bedridden from serious injuries myself. I couldn't walk on my own. I needed help with just daily task of everything. And I remember those days I would just lay in my bed and there was so much noise in my home at that time because there was constant visitors, family coming. It was a time of grieving for everyone and everybody. I'm Hispanic, so we just know being on top of each other as love.
Yeah.
So my house was just filled with people. And, in that time, I think even till now, I probably still face this a little bit. I always feel that if I put on that brave face, then everyone around me is going to be okay, right? If I'm not hurting, everybody else is not going to hurt. So while people were around, I tried to put on that tough face, like everything's going to be fine. And then as soon as the door would close or people would leave, the tears would just come flowing. And Terry was one of my good friends from high school's mother, and she had gifted me the journal with these metallic pens. And she had told me, write in here. It'll make you feel better. And I was like, I don't know, but the metallic pens looked great. And it wasn't until just one night I was so sad. And, I was with my partner at that time and, we grieved very differently. And It was hard for me to speak to him about certain things because I was awake and aware in the car accident as he was unconscious. So there were certain memories that I had that he didn't know of. And so it was really hard for me to communicate those feelings. So I picked up that journal and I started writing, and that just became my place where I just poured it all out. And it became my safe place where I didn't have to have this mask on that, everything's fine, because things weren't fine. I was really broken, really sad, depressed, like you name it, I was feeling it.
Oh man. First, I am so sorry for the loss of your daughter.
Thank you.
I knew about that in advance because you spoke about that as well. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And what a gift. I mean, a literal gift that Terry gave you.
Yes.
But did you journal before that time? Was this the first time you'd ever?
I have journaled since I was a teenager.
Okay.
So my parents have this box inside of their house, and it says, Nadine's stuff, keep out, do not enter, all over the box. And for me, I was a rebel of a teenager. So yeah, so when I saw this box at my parents' house just a few months ago, like I knew that box existed. I had thought that they might have burned it because those were probably some of the most trying times of their life raising me.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mom, Dad, what is this? And my mom was like, you go through that because we don't know what to do with that. And I opened it up, and all it was journals and notebooks of me writing about these phases that I was going through in my life. So from the age of 13 to probably about 17 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a gift. I wish I had my journals, or I think back then I called it a diary from growing up. There'd be so many great insights in there. I'd probably laugh at myself.
I was reading them and I was like, somebody probably should have committed me to some type of mental hospital.
No, no. I think that's the point of journaling. It's like if you are worried that someone's going to think you're crazy if they read it, you're doing it right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Wow. Do you still have that original journal from Terry?
Yes, I do.
You do. And you have your old ones. That's amazing. I
Yeah.
typically just get rid of them. So I have no old journals, but I think it's so cool that you have those.
There's this thought process of mine. So I love journaling. For a little bit, I was doing the Penzu app, like where you can type journal.
Okay.
And so I have probably a couple years in there, but just recently I started handwriting journaling again. And there's this part of me that just, I don't know, one day, hopefully very, very, very far from now, I will have great grandkids and grandkids and my children and, just generations. And they be able to read those and kind of just let them know that the things that we go through in life are very normal, right? And look, mom, grandma, great grandma, she went through this.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know if that's helpful or potentially nerve-wracking for people to think that their kids and grandkids are going to read their journal later on.
I think if I'm passed away, I'm in heaven, then I'm good.
Yeah, true. I guess it doesn't matter at that point, of course. But there really is something to be said with writing by hand. And it sounds like for you, that journal was a big piece of your healing process.
Yes.
I'm guessing you filled that and many more.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I filled that journal through so many different phases. It helped me through the first initial years of my daughter passing, but then just through other parts as well, right? If I go back and I read it, there's so much sadness. But if you look in these little pockets, there was hope somewhere written in all of those pages, right? And there was happiness and there was still joy. So it's nice being able to look back and see that.
Yeah. What was the spark for writing your book?
So I would say I've always wanted to write a book. I knew it was always a goal of mine. And I knew I wanted it to be something that helped others and was a testimony of mine. Now, what testimony was that going to be? I didn't know, right? Like you had mentioned in the introduction, I'm so multifaceted that it's like, okay, what are we going to help people with? And I knew that the easiest thing that came to me, and I don't want to say easy, but probably the most natural thing that came to me was being able to speak about my own testimony and to help people essentially that have or are going through something that I have gone through. So In 2022, I had gotten divorced and I just got on this journey of just like, what does Nadine want to do? What does Nadine want to do with nobody's thoughts or allow or making me to second guess myself? Or is this a good idea? Is this too much or whatever? What does Nadine want to do? And the idea of the book had came and it's like, okay, this is what I want. And before I had actually started writing, I was like, you know what, maybe I should just do a coaching program and help people. And I did that for a little bit, but I still felt that it was very surface level. Like I wasn't getting deep rooted with people because
Mhm.
I think I was trying to help them before they truly knew how I can help them. Right.
Right.
And then in December of 2023, I had found my publisher and I actually knew her from a cafe that I'd owned. And she actually used to write her book in my cafe. And then I closed that store. And then, 3 years later, I messaged her. I was like, hey, are you still doing publishing? And she's like, yeah, I am. And I was like, well, I want you to be my publisher. I have no idea what that means, but I'd
Yeah.
like your help. And yeah, so January 1st of 2024 is when I actually started writing.
Okay. I love that connection with the cafe, seeing someone writing, like, of course she was planted there
Yes, of
for a
course.
reason.
Exactly.
So tell us about the writing process. You started January 1. How long did it take? What did the day-to-day look like?
I would say the process was everywhere. At first, I thought, oh, I'm going to have this book done in like a month because I was just power writing. And mind you, I've always journaled, but my journaling sessions are not structured. They do not have grammar or punctuation. Like, right. It is just writing down everything that I feel, think, and want to put down. So when I first started writing, that was a lot of what I was writing was just scribble basically. And I was like, okay, the book is done, and then I went back and read it and I'm like, this makes no sense. So first it was just really getting out all of my ideas. What did I want the framework of the book to be about? Once I got that done, then my publisher and myself, she was like, okay, now go back through this, kind of go through all your, what exactly like the point, make sure you're driving all the points and tips she gave me. Um, and each time I found, oh, I can be deeper here. Maybe I'm giving too much detail here, right? There was points like when I had talked about the car accident and my daughter passing away, originally when I had wrote that story out, I wrote it as if I wanted you to be in the car with me in that moment. And I was like, this is so dark and depressing. Like, I can't share this with people. So, but it was all about getting it all on paper and then deciding how to just perfect it.
Yeah.
And then after I did that, I realized just points where I was repeating things because sometimes in our stories, especially as we're healing, if we're writing something about ourselves, right, we can see ourselves in the same situation, just in different phases, but it sounds like the same story, if that makes sense. So I was
Yep.
like, okay, this sounds like I'm repeating myself. So I really just had to go through the flow and the structure of it. Then I put the book down for 3 months and I couldn't stand it. I was like, this book is horrible. There's no way that I'm ever publishing this. This doesn't even make sense. Who would want to read this? So I put it down for 3 months, did not edit, did not read, nothing. And my publisher kept messaging me. She's like, hey, is everything okay? And I wouldn't even respond to her. And then finally, one day, and during that 3 months, I was also still going through, I think we're all always healing. We're all always working through something. But I was in this deep season of just focusing on certain things about myself that I still needed to heal or work on. And I was getting really into my faith journey at that point. And I felt like I heard God and He put it on my heart that this book is great and it's a great testimony, but you don't mention me in this at all. And I was like, got it. So I went through and I wrote scripture all through the book. And after that, I was like, okay, the book is done. There's nothing else I can edit. If I continue to edit this, it's never going to be published. And yeah, that's when I finally told my publisher that it was time to go.
That's amazing. One, you are not alone with the need to put my book down for months. I hear that from authors all the time. I did that myself.
Yeah.
Totally understand. I love how God dropped in and was like, I'll help you co-write this book. Let's get it done. Let's finish
Yes.
it and get it together and get it out there.
Yes. Yeah. And even like with the title originally wasn't Lemon Seeds. It was what did I say? Surviving what you can't forget. So Lisa Turkis is one of my like, I love her, right? So many of her books have helped me. And then when I read the cover and I was talking to my publisher, I'm like, listen, this sounds like Lisa Turkis wrote it because this sounds just like one of her titles of her book. And she's like, Nadine, your story is like really sour, but it has so much beauty to it. And then she was the one that was like, why don't we do something with lemons? And I was like, what? Lemons? And then my marketing brain went off and I was like,
Right.
I could see the marketing campaign for this. Yes.
Yeah, it is a great marketing campaign, and the color and just having the lemon visual, and right away you think of lemon, it brings in so many ideas.
Yes. Yes.
Freshness. So was your draft like, did you type it or were you journaling and then transferring it at this point?
So what I was doing is kind of going back into my journals that I had already written and then bringing them to typing it out.
Okay. Great way to publish a book, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of felt like a cheat code, right? Because I had the framework, I guess, essentially already there. It's like, okay, now how do I take 15 years worth of journal entries and make it into a, 100 and what, 50-page book?
Yeah. Did you have a favorite time of day to write? Did you have any ritual like I need to sit down with my coffee every day and do that? What did that look like?
So for me, I feel like I am most inspired to do creative work when I just feel naturally pulled to it, right? So if I try to assign every day I'm going to write for 30 minutes or an hour, I just felt like, okay, now this is a job and I don't want this to feel like a job. I want to feel naturally pulled to do this. So I would sometimes get these bursts of energy to want to write, and I would write for 2 hours, right? And maybe that was all I did for that week.
Yeah.
So anytime I wrote, I wanted it to be a burst of energy. I knew that I loved to be in my alone time. I didn't want my kids around or be around anyone. I wanted it to just be me and like silence or just a good tune on that inspired me. And then sometimes, even in the evening times, like you see yourself, I tend to get really great ideas when I'm about to go to bed.
Of
So
course.
I found myself a couple times be like, I gotta write that down.
Yeah. I love that.
Yes.
Any other challenges that bumped up for you other than needing to put it down for 3 months?
I can only say that was it. My biggest thing, well, let me say this. So, like I said, I don't feel like I am the best in grammar or punctuation or knowing how to structure the perfect sentence or paragraph. And so I had this thought process that I had to know these things in order to be a
Mhm.
good writer. And really, you don't, right? You
Yep.
don't. I mean, there's so many tools out there that not only can help you. So, let's say if you're going like the self publishing route, right? There's so many tools like Grammarly and all of this stuff. You have AI now, which be careful because you don't want AI to write your story for you. That's one of my fears that eventually we're going to be reading books that were all written by AI.
We'll know when they're AI written.
Oh
They're
yeah,
different.
100%. But there's so many tools that are out there that can help us. So I think the most important thing that I had to remind myself is just get the idea out and then you can structure it later, right? You don't need to be perfect right now. And even when I was reading through my book, I was like, oh, I could have worded that a little better, or maybe that sentence didn't. It's not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? I don't think it's meant to be. Maybe I don't
No,
know. Maybe that's
no,
something that
absolutely not.
gain, yeah, maybe that's something you just gain with more experience and knowledge and time. So don't allow those things to stop you from getting to the point of writing and publishing.
100%. Your readers, they're not picking up lemon seeds because they want to read great grammar or like a classic. They're reading it because they have a struggle or they want to connect with you. Something is hard for them right now. Yep, not a thing. I'm
Yeah.
glad that you discovered that nobody really cares about that, but you have tools to help you later.
Yes, 100%. I definitely became a better writer after writing Lemon Seeds.
For sure. Tell us what it felt like to hold your book for the first time.
Oh, I was so excited. But I was most excited to share it with my kids. So I have a 12 and a 15-year-old, my 12-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter. And they have lived this story with me for the most part. Most of my book, they have lived with me, right? Minus my daughter passing. She passed away before they were born. But they have seen me go through all of these different parts of my life. And I was most excited to hand it to them more than anything. I didn't care about a sale. Like I knocked on their doors. I was like, I got a gift for you.
Yeah.
And their excitement and like, Mom, you did it. Because they were even part of the writing process as well. And when I would get writer's block or that creativity just stopped, I would express my frustrations to them. So holding my book was like, yes, wow, this is something I did. But I just wanted to share it with the people that were part of it all with me, and those were my two kiddos.
That's awesome. And I'm sure they look up to you like, my mom wrote a book. So cool.
Yeah, yeah. When I did a launch party, and my daughter spoke, and it was I like sometimes we don't know how much our journeys, because we're just trying to survive it, right? And trying to get through it, and how much that actually impacts the eyes that really, really matter. And she said the most beautiful speech. I'm like, dang, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
I love that. How do you think writing it has changed you?
It's changed me in the sense that it's out there, but now what am I going to do with it?
Mm,
Right. So now it's like, now I feel like I have more of a calling and a duty to now show up and find ways to help people that are dealing with the things that I have written in my book about. So like the book is available on Amazon, book Barnes and Noble, and like I don't know, 1,000 other retailer sites, but I have a problem with that because then I don't know who has my book in their hand.
mm.
I want it to be this connection piece that like, no, I get to sit with you and talk to you about it, right? So I think it allows me to be deeper, also knowing that my story is out there. And I've always been more of a vulnerable person and like transparent and very vocal about things I've gone through in my life. But now it's just like, this is me. You know what I mean? Oh, you want to get to know who Nadine is? Here, read my book.
Yeah. Like, here's my book, here's a primer. There
Exactly.
you go. Nadine, you write a blog as well. How does that feel different from book writing?
So I have started to try to write a blog. I can't say it's something that I am consistent at or that I have been doing it for long. But what I will say is it almost kind of feels like a public journal entry, right? Of something it is that I want to share or maybe speak on that maybe I have overcome or maybe I'm currently struggling in. So I just feel like it's another piece and a way to connect with people. But I can't say I have enough experience doing the blog to say like what does that actually feel like for me just because I haven't been that consistent with it.
That's okay. I always tell people if they're starting a blog, consistent is whatever you define it to be,
I love that.
even if consistent is occasional.
Yeah, I love that. I love it because yeah, at the end of the day, they are still. I mean, depending on what you're writing your blog about, it's still about something that's personal to you or an experience that you've had, right? So it's kind of just another way of putting yourself out there, right? And creating
Yeah,
that connection with other people.
absolutely. Is there anything that has surprised you since your book's been out in the world?
The response.
Hmm.
The response to it, when we go through things, and it's like when you're writing a memoir and as such, we feel like people have heard this story 1,001 times, but it's us that has heard the story 1,001 times, not the people. So when people read it and they tell me like, I needed this in this moment, I'm going through this, or like your words, like they spoke to me, that is such a rewarding feeling. And not, it has nothing to do with me, but I know what it feels like to be on that other end of having emotions and feelings or experiences where I feel alone and I
Mhm.
have no idea who to go to, how to get help, or anything like that. So
Yeah.
knowing that I can be that for other people through my writing has been an amazing reward.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a good reminder. So often when people start writing their books, they're like, "Oh, who cares about my story?"
Yeah,
I've
I went through
like
that.
because you're
I
sick of it, because it's your
Yeah.
own. Of course
Yeah.
you are.
And I won't lie, when I gave the book to my mom, which I made them buy it, I was like, no, you have to buy my book.
You don't get a free copy.
So I had my parents buy it, and I kept asking my mom, like, "Did you read it? Did you read it? Did you read it?" She's like, "Nadine, I lived this entire story with you." I'm like, "Yeah, but it's different now because it's written. Like, you have to read it."
Yeah, she lived it, but it's from your perspective.
Exactly.
Your perspective
Exactly.
is totally different.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man. Nadine, what's next for you? Do you have another book brewing in your mind? What are you excited about these days?
So right now I am really focused on public speaking and finding ways to get into like different crowds and helping women face to face. There is another book idea in my head. It actually came as soon as I was done writing Lemon Seeds. The thought process came up and it was like, start writing right now. And I won't lie, I did not listen to that voice because I wanted to be able to enjoy the full launch and the full experience of launching Lemon Seeds. But there is definitely another book that's brewing, but I think I'm still living in what that book is going to be about. So I think there's a little bit more lived experiences that need to happen in order for me to have that one come alive. But the journal entries are definitely already being written. So I think the framework is there and it just depends when I decide to put it to Word document and create a manuscript out of it.
You're journaling it already, so really I it sounds to me like the book's already being written.
Yeah, I guess if yeah, you're right.
It's just not on a editing timeline yet, which none of
Exactly,
that matters.
exactly.
So you mentioned speaking and also helping other people. Clearly that book has helped launch that, or were you doing some speaking already?
So I've done speaking in the past, but more on a business setting. So
Okay.
like when it came to like real estate and sales and things of that nature. But just most recently after the book launch is when I started to get speaking. And I guess I kind of feel like I see myself in like women's ministry right now,
Mhm.
which is crazy because I probably never saw myself in that space.
Yeah,
But yeah, so now it's been what I think I've done 3 or 4 events since launching in March.
that's great.
Yeah.
Books open so many doors. And like you said, you didn't even know that these doors would open. Like you didn't even know you were knocking on them.
It's so true. It's so true. And so I know as the book continues to get out there and people see, I hope that it continues to open up those doors.
I love that. What advice would you have for someone who has perhaps been journaling for a while, writing their entries, working through something? What would you tell them if they have this thought, should I turn this into a book? What would you say to them?
So I would tell you in your journaling first, hold nothing back because every detail, dark, light, all of it, it matters, especially in your writing process because it'll be a way that you get to connect with people. It's still to me the little details that really get people to cling onto your story and for you to be able to relate and help them. I would also say shut out the noise. You can have those inspirational people that maybe you look at in the field of writing and being an author, but just know you'll never be them. And that's not your goal, right? That's not your goal is to replicate their writing or to replicate how they've done it because your book is significant and special to you and your journey. So maybe your writing or the structure of your writing is not like a famous author and it's not supposed to be.
Yeah.
I think there was many points in my own journey of writing that I wanted so bad to sound like Lisa Turkers. I won't lie, because I loved how she impacted me. But I had to just remember like this book isn't being written by Lisa, it's being written by Nadine Maldonado. So allow her voice to shine and allow her voice to be heard because it's equally just as important.
Hmm. I love that. Such great reminders. Final question. This is a fun and easy one. When you're writing or editing, do you like to sip something particular? Like what to drink?
So I would definitely say I'm a big like water lemon. I tried to do like wine in writing, couldn't do that.
No, no.
Could never do that, right? But I'm just like a big water lemon girl, you know what I mean? Maybe like a Bloom energy drink now, but a big water and lemon. I just like to be refreshed. That's probably like the only beverage I really drink.
I love that. How perfect that water and lemon is what you drink in your book. Your first book
Yeah,
is
you're
lemon energy.
right.
That is perfect. Nadine, this was so great. I love our conversation and I look forward to connecting with you in real life again.
Yes. Yes.
Where
Thank
can our listeners find you online? Where's the best place to connect with you?
my website, www.nadinemaldonado.com. I also share daily on Instagram, and that's at lifeasnadine_. And then Facebook, Nadine Maldonado.
Perfect. We will link all of those in the show notes so you will have them. Thank you so much, Nadine, for sharing your story and your heart with us.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.